Oh, we're already proceeding with the men's horizontal bar final. I can tell you Julia Suarez has won the floor competition for Brazil. Dorina Bertziger of Hungary, another medal. And Dildora Aripova. No, that's not Bianca Sherman. That's Lorette Sharpie. Has secured the bronze medal. Dildora Aripova, with Sharpie coming in 6th place with 12.666. And so to the men's horizontal bar competition. And we can also now have a look at the classified results, hopefully, for some of the gymnastics that we've just seen. In the pommel horse competition, which is the only one we haven't just looked back over, it was a bronze medal to Marios Georgiou of Cyprus, a silver to Matvei Petrov of Albania, a gold to Nariman Kurbanov of Kazakhstan. The start list for the horizontal bar final. And the top performer in qualification, Carlo Macchini of Italy. And if you've ever watched Carlo Macchini in a horizontal bar final, you'll know it is spectacular fun. So just going through the warm-up process now in the men's horizontal bar final. Same as before, split warm-up. 4 warm-up, 4 compete, 4 warm-up, 4 compete. And then afterwards we'll bring you all of the victory ceremonies of the day. And just to give you a little update on the World Cup Series winners so far. The gymnast from Israel, Artem Dolgopiat, the Olympic champion, the floor exercise overall World Cup winner. Now, just hearing that there has actually been a change. We were told that the inquiry for Cyril Thomasson on the pommel horse had been rejected. That does not appear to be the case. We are now hearing there's been an overruling of that. And Cyril Thomasson has gone up by 1/10 in difficulty to get the same difficulty score as qualification, and he's taken the bronze medal. And the gentleman that you are looking at now, Marios Georgiou of Cyprus, has just dropped down into 4th place. That was all a touch on the messy side. Let's hope this won't be. Marios Georgiou of Cyprus, 7th strongest in qualification. It's a well-executed routine in the preliminary round. First up with the Casina. Coleman. It's all looking okay so far. Very wild straddle Kachev. Oh, Marius Georgiou. He got the more difficult skills executed ever so well. And then it was the straddle Kachev, which by the standards of other things in that routine and by his own excellent gymnastic standards was more simple. I mean, it's all rather absurd to talk about something like that being simple, but you know what I mean. What a nice one-arm giant swing. Oh, that was lovely coming out of the stolder into the handstand. Very elegant. Almost everything about that was as pretty as a picture. But unfortunately, the full mark lost for the unintentional dismount will be oh so costly for Marios Georgiou of Cyprus. He does have a certain style to him, though. One cannot deny that. Started with the Cassina. From the Cassina, he moved into the Coleman. And we're now looking at the latter stages of the routine. What a tidy dismount this was. Very experienced, despite still only being 24. He's competed at 2 Olympic Games. Had a tough time in Tokyo, though. 3 times a Commonwealth Games medalist. He's been a European Games medalist. Competed at a number of World Championships. He's also won the all-around title at the Mediterranean Games. So what a collection of honours. European, Mediterranean, Commonwealth Games. Very varied. And actually, if you are to win medals at the Mediterranean Games and the Commonwealth Games, you can only be really from Cyprus. Actually, you can be from Malta as well, now that I think about it. But certainly in terms of gymnastics tradition, Cyprus are a nation that performs well at the Mediterranean Games and the Commonwealth Games, and they will perhaps be quite optimistic about what they can produce in Birmingham this summer. Very good team, actually, the Cypriot men. And I can only apologise for the length of the delay, waiting for Marios Georgiou's score to come in. I'll give you a little trivia question to play with whilst this is going on. There is one other multi-sport games at which Marios Georgiou has won medals. We've covered the Mediterranean Games, the European Games, the Commonwealth Games. What is the other event? It's 13 for Marios Georgiou. He loses 0.8 from qualification. And I can tell you it was the Games of the Small States of Europe. He won 6 gold medals in Reykjavik in 2015. Alexander Myakinin of Israel, third best performer in the preliminary round. Bronze medalist at the European Championships in 2020. He made his World Championship debut in Kitakyushu last year. And he has won a medal in all of the World Cup events so far. Big Casino. And a big Coleman as well. There's the connection. Okay, that's interesting from Myakinin. A little low as he dismounts and requires a reset of that. But he did have 2 releases and catches connected, and that will lead to a stronger difficulty score than certainly what we saw from Marios Georgiou. This is the Casino to begin. Does lose his form perhaps a little. And the Coleman. Oh, I didn't see the connection. Next up it will be Robert Tvorigal of Lithuania. $13.7 for Myakinin. He matches his difficulty from qualification. His execution, though, is down by close to half a mark. I think quite a lot of that will come from the dismount. Robert Tvorigal of Lithuania, second best performer in qualification. The European champion and European Games champion. He was a touch off there. And he never really looked in command of that display, did he, from start to what was an early loss of contact with the apparatus when trying to re-grasp that straight Kachev. Better. Straight Kachev into the straddle Kachev, back into a straight Kachev once more. Very nice pirouette, very fluid. That was, much as was the case with Marios Georgiou, virtually spot on, except for the unintentional dismount of the apparatus. Oh, fascinating final we've got here. Problems for the second strongest in qualification. The third strongest qualifier has dropped by around half a mark too. This was the latter of the straight Kachevs. $13 for Tvoragal. So he's lost 1.2 plus from qualification. Now one wonders if this gives a chance to a gymnast like Ilya Kovtun, the gentleman who took all 4 parallel bars World Cup titles. He won the 4th and final one yesterday. He doesn't have enormously high difficulty on this piece compared to some of the real horizontal bar specialists, but one generally relies upon very crisp execution with Kovtun. 6th best in qualification, but you just never know. Start with a Yamawaki with great height. Into a Kachev that is linked to another straddle Kachev. Big wind up for his straight Kachev. There we go. There we go. Ilya Kovtun has just put his name up for contention. We should never be surprised, should we, when Ilya Kovtun turns up to a final and does a good job. He's a powerful gymnast. His Kachevs have extra salt and pepper on them. This pirouette was a little wild towards the conclusion. But a well-administered dismount. Very close to his qualification standard, 13.866. We have ourselves a new leader at the halfway mark of the men's horizontal bar final. But the gentleman who is warming up, who's just finished his warm-up rather, Carlo Macchini, top qualifier. Now I was trying to update you earlier on the World Cup Series winners before we had that change of the score for Cyril Thomasson. Artem Dolgopiat, the Olympic champion on floor, has won the floor World Cup Series title. The Davtyan brothers from Armenia, Vahagan and Arta, winning rings and vault. Brilliant from them. Parallel bars, as already confirmed, Ilya Kovtun, and we'll bring you confirmation of pommel horse and horizontal bar at the conclusion of the competition here today. We will also present the comparison awards in the women's competitions as well for the floor exercise and the balance beam. Last to go in this horizontal bar final will be the Australian Mitch Morgans. We continue the action here in Baku, the men's horizontal bar final. Well, it is Carlo Macchini of Italy. And considering that there have been problems for the second and third strongest performers in qualification, if Carlo Macchini, who scored 14.3 in the preliminary round, hits this routine, he could be over the hills and far away and pretty well untouchable. Someone's mobile phone is going off very close to one of the microphones. There'll be someone saying, quick, quick, Carlo Macchini's on TV, watch him. Oh, yes, the Pagan. Had trouble coming out of it, though. Very interesting, he has that very straight Kovac, then moves into the Coleman. This is not quite happening for Carlo Macchini. Well, Carlo Macchini of Italy had an uneven display, shall we say. Champion in Cairo, he didn't make the final in Cottbus. He has that very interesting skill created by Alias Pagan. Oh, Carlo Macchini, who always gives you grandstand entertainment, doesn't he? Even when it doesn't quite go according to plan, he's still jolly good fun to watch. It has been a trend for him of not quite delivering upon his qualification display in finals. Looks as though he has begun to buck that trend, but that 13.166 is just a reminder for real vigilance from him. Great Britain's Joe Fraser, bronze medalist on the parallel bars yesterday. The reigning British champion on the horizontal bar. Won that title just last month. Fourth best performer in qualification. It's there for somebody to take control. And it might be him. A nice catch here that was. It's a strong performance from Joe Fraser of Great Britain. He had a pronounced step back on the dismount, but his releases and catches were clean and tidy. His difficulty in qualification was 5.7. The higher difficulty performers like Miakinen and Mäkinen have all struggled with execution. Fraser is almost certainly going to win that execution battle, but will he win it with enough to topple Ilya Kovtun, who has the same difficulty as him in this final? That is, if Fraser's difficulty is the same as in qualification. Doesn't he get good travel away from the apparatus? It's very evident looking at that replay. Real amplitude on the dismount. Won his first World Cup honours yesterday. The world champion on the parallel bars from 2019. Man from the outskirts of Birmingham with the Commonwealth Games in his home city on his mind. It is the lead for Joe Fraser of Great Britain. 14, same difficulty as Kovtun. His execution just over a tenth higher. And Joe Fraser therefore guaranteed a medal. Nikolaos Iliopoulos of Greece, the 8th strongest in qualification. 28-year-old performed a very nice routine in the preliminary round. It's not hugely difficult, but it was delightful to watch. Does he up the difficulty in this final? Straight Kachev to open. Straddle Kachev. A more traditional version of the skill. First performed by Alexander Kachev. It's a very nice piece of gymnastics from Nikolaos Iliopoulos, the man from Patra. Psychology graduate from the American College of Greece in Athens. Difficulty-wise, it's not going to contend with the finest, but it could be the sort of final where a surprise performer gets onto the podium because of the higher difficulty routines not quite paying off today. I think he's not going to be too far away from the podium. Oh, he's just outside, 13.6. Nikolaos Iliopoulos, 1/10 below Alexander Miakinen. And what's fascinating about that, he's giving away 0.9 of difficulty to Miakinen, and he's made up 0.8 of it in his execution. Just couldn't quite, Iliopoulos, get the kind of execution score that he produced in qualifying, and perhaps that hop forward on the dismount was key. The last competitor is Mitch Morgans of Australia. Now his difficulty in qualification, 5.6. His execution of 8.4. This certainly makes him a real contender. If he matches what he did in qualifying, he will win this competition on the tiebreak. The Kovac is delivered with no real issues. Straight Kachev. Then the more high amplitude straddle. That's a contending display from Mitch Morgans of Australia. Certainly silver medalist on the parallel bars at the first World Cup event of 2022 in Cottbus. Now, what about the various execution deductions? Fraser might well win on, and there's an example of a form deduction. As I was saying, Fraser might well win on difficulty narrowly. Ergo, Morgans has got to win on the execution, or at least be a single tenth higher than Fraser if he has the same difficulties in qualification. That would put them level on 14 and mean Morgans wins the execution tiebreak. How close has he got to it? Oh, very close. 13.966. Mitch Morgans gained 2/10 of difficulty, but he lost too much execution, and the gap 14 to 13.966 means. And in the horizontal bar competition, the bronze medal to Ilya Kovtun of Ukraine, the silver to Mitch Morgans of Australia, and the gold medal to Joe Fraser of Great Britain, his first ever World Cup title.